Welcome to the Dreams by Any Means Motivation Station. I'm your host, Ed Doxson. Happy Monday, everyone. Hope everyone week is going well. We are going through October and about to end October after Friday, which is crazy, but we are fully fledged into the fourth quarter. And if those who tapped into the last episode, you know we are also in a series in a season of the fall of alignment. Today's episode is titled Harvest Season, and that episode is inspired by the summer separation that we went on this past summer, for those who tapped in on the different episodes of what the summer separation meant. And, when you come off the summer separation, we got into the fall of alignment for a reason, because, you put in the work for the summer and, you put in that work. But when that fall comes, right, you want to reap the results from that. But also, to reap the results from your hard work, you have to sustain the same actions that you were taking during that summertime frame to be able to go forth and go on and continue to be great and get the best results that you need. So when we talk about harvest season, right, the definition of harvest season from a biblical spiritual perspective is a time of physical crop gathering that also has a deep spiritual meaning, representing the reaping of rewards for hard work, spiritual growth, and the ingathering of people of faith. So, the thing about this season, right? Harvest, right? Wherever you may be at, seasons are changing, the weather's changing. If you're in a place that experiences all four seasons, the leaves are falling off the trees. It's not as hot as it was every day. It's a little bit of windy, a little bit of rain, a little bit of everything, right? And that kind of relates to our lives when we think about going through these different seasons and these different changes. But as I always say, the results that we're going to get is always going to stem from the work that we put in prior to that season arriving. So as we think about this harvest season and think about the things that, we are about to experience, through our crops, and things are ready to be gathered, it's mean that things are ready to be captured, things are ready to be embraced, whether that's a new job, whether that's a new relationship, whether that's a new goal, whether that's weight loss, whether that's getting rid of an addiction, whatever it may be. If you put in that work over the time, over the summer separation, and continue it for the fall of alignment, your harvest season is going to be plentiful, so I think for me, the biggest thing that I've learned and continue to learn from doing that summer separation, right? The work isn't over. You put in the work, but the habits that you picked up and the things that you removed, it feels natural, right? It doesn't feel like pressured at all anymore. I share a story with you. I went to homecoming this year, celebrating my 10-year anniversary. And it was a great homecoming. Those that know homecoming and, your college friends, homecoming consists of many things. And, of course, one of those main things is consistent of turning up, right? But my summer separation was removing turn up from my life. So, this homecoming, I was sober. I was walking on the plots with my Dunkin' refresher, a little bit of pomegranate juice, some maca root powder, a little bit of turmeric in there, and just sipping away. But wasn't taking part in what everybody else is taking part. And not to say I'm judging anybody or looking at them different, but, just a typical thing of what I normally take part in. I wanted to switch that up. But I bring it up is because I know many can relate. When you say you're not drinking, when you say you're not going to eat certain foods, the temptation comes your way. Or when you get into those environments where that food or where that drink or where whatever it is may be that you're trying to avoid, it gets a little harder. But I could say it wasn't hard, like it felt natural. But it felt natural because I've been doing this since the end of June. I've been finding other ways to, quote unquote, turn up, or finding other dopamines, or finding other ways to relieve me instead of just doing, the norm. So that's just one example is, when you make plans and you make actions to change your life, it's going to become a norm where it's not going to even feel pressure. And then people around you also aren't going to even feel pressure to expect that of you, because they see like, oh, no, this is something seriously that they're picking up. So, me looking at the harvest, man, I feel better, just not taking part and turning up, whether it be socially, whether it be I had a bad day, whether it be I'm dealing with grief, whether it be any type things, right? We all have different reasons of why we drink. But it's one of the things where I say when we do a reflection of our lives and realize things that are holding us back, things that are pushing us forward, we have to make those decisions, on what we're going to keep and then what we're going to remove. So that was like a win for me. And, I've been steady at it. And it's been a great thing. And outside of just removing, it just strengthens my discipline in that area, but also it strengthens discipline in other areas, because I'm a firm believer of how you do anything is how you do everything. So when we think about this harvest season, I want the first thing for you all to think about is the timing, right? The specific timing depends on the crop, geographical location, all those different things. So we know when we talk about harvesting certain fruits, certain vegetables, right? They harvest different in different parts of the country or in different parts of the world. So I say that to say is think of your life in that situation, right? Your environment is very, very important. So as you're going on your harvest season, you have to ask yourself, what's going to be the timing of my harvest? Is it going to be faster because I done changed my environment? Is it going to be slower because I done stayed in the same environment? Or is it going to kind of be a different, longer process to wait for the greater later? These are some things that you have to sit back, look at, and ask yourself as you think about that. So when we talk about the activities after that time, and what is that? That's reaping. So that's gathering the crops, right? Processing, combining, storing, delivering the harvest crops, and then planning is preparing the land for the next growing season and handling financial aspects. So when you think about those three, right? Reaping is physically gathering the crops, right? So physically gather what you want. Think about what you want. You want this new job. You want a better body. You want to be a better mother. You want to be a better father. You want to be a better husband, a wife, girlfriend, boyfriend. You want to be a better servant to your church. You want to be a better professional in your job, right? Gather these things that you need, whatever those tools, skills, values are. You gather those together. But the processing is combining, storing, and sometimes delivering those crops. So when you combine all of them and you storm, you got to store them in places where they can grow. You got to store them in places where they can get the benefits of what they need. And then planning is preparing the land for the next growing season and handling financial aspects. And that might be the most important, right? Because you could do one thing great, you could get one win, but you want to harvest every season. You want this to become a consistent thing, like I just mentioned earlier, right? Where when you pick up certain habits, it becomes a norm. And then when you're doing the norm, the people around you, they also see it as an expectation where they're not expecting you to do certain things, or they are expecting you to do certain things that may be different from what you were once doing. So, when it's harvest season, man, I just wanted to share this with y'all today, that focus on your environment, focus on the results that you want, and just focus on getting better. Like I always say, hustle plus faith equals success. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next episode.